Welcome back to the double leg. I'm one half of the show. Hey, Jive Picks, the other half of the show, the parlay. Joining me in, how are we doing?
Good, man. Some fun fights coming up. The UFC is just dropping fight after fight for us. And I don't know. I don't remember last year starting out like this, if I'm being honest. I know they had some decent fights in there, but now we're just getting every single day, it seems like, a new fight popping up and a fight that the fans are going to watch and be excited for.
Yeah, this first quarter, first half is going to be very exciting. Has already been very exciting. If you're new here, please leave a like, subscription, and a comment down below. This is the double leg, the apex for all you need to know in the UFC. And if you want to join our Facebook group, it is absolutely free. The link to get in there will be down in the description. You can DM us on Instagram. We'll get you in there. It's the Double Leg Fam on Facebook. So if you want to search that up, we can get you in there. And just launched today, the Double Leg Premium, $19.99 per month membership gets you everything that you need to know for the UFC, the upcoming cards. You get, and pay attention to this because it's going to be a lot. Within the $19.99 per month, get every full betting card, detailed breakdowns of every fight on that card, important fighter and betting data. So all the statistics you need to know about the fighter and the line movement, what's going on with the lines, where's the money at, all that important data that makes that you should be taking into account in your bets, and that we have taken account in our bets, as well as early bets for the future, which we're going to be talking about today. On personally, I don't have any bets on these futures. I don't think any of the lines are even out yet, but we're going to be talking some future events, future fights that have been announced. Some of them haven't been announced, but starting with one that has been announced, Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush. I don't know. Has it been officially announced? But it looks like
It looks like they said targeted for May.
Yeah, targeted.
Which usually, I mean, yeah, when these news outlets are putting that out, one, it either persuades the UFC to say, okay, screw it, we got to make this fight now, or two, someone's got some good inside information and it's likely gonna happen. And I do think this is the fight to make, so I think this one's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah, no, people have been calling for it since Charles lost. What's next for Charles? And then Beneil had that great performance on the same card. Honestly, made Gamrot look pretty average, and he was the underdog in that one. Dariush was. So big win there. I would say it's a number one contenders fight. That one would be Oliveira and Dariush. That's a tough one because, I got my biases with Charles Oliveira, but I also love my man Beneil Dariush. Been doubted for a while. He's fun to watch. He's honestly, I think he's one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. So exciting to watch. And he's out there. People hate on him because he beat Tony Ferguson. Kind of, started the end of Tony Ferguson's career there. And the guy is game every time. And I'm really conflicted on who to choose here. I'd probably say I'd like to see Charles get back in the winning column. I don't know where this line's going to be at, though, to be honest. With Charles coming off a loss and Dariush on that win streak, I don't know what the line's going to be. I would think Oliveira would be the favorite, but I don't think the line would be very, very wide. What about you?
No, I agree. And, the thing with this fight, and Charles has looked so great in the past, fighting Gaethje, Poirier, he got the submissions, and he's obviously shown that he can strike. What he did to Michael Chandler, dropped him, but Beneil Dariush is kind of the sleeper of this division, in my opinion. His skills are sharp everywhere. I don't know if his ground game is as good as Oliveira's, but I think it's good enough to where he's not going to get submitted by Oliveira. And physically, like Beneil Dariush is a pretty big dude. You look at him, he's thick in there. He's going to be stronger, like physically stronger than Charles Oliveira. So I think if this thing goes to the ground, I don't think we see a sub either way. But I also think they both respect each other on the ground enough that this might be just kind of a stand-up war between these two. I could see them not taking it to the ground at all unless somebody got dropped and the other one follows them down. But going back to Beneil Dariush, man, against Gamrot, he showed that he's got some pretty damn good striking too. And obviously, we know Charles Oliveira's striking has evolved over the years. So this one might be a closer to pick 'em than you would think, at least. I mean, Charles in that last fight against Islam, I think the world kind of realized, okay, this dude's human. He can be beat. And, we've seen him lose before and kind of go into a slump where he rattles off some losses in a row. So I don't know, man. This is a really interesting fight.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know where that card would be. I would assume it's going to be a pay-per-view. I don't think Oliveira Dariush would be the main event, but I think it'd be a good co-main, or at least a good third, a co-main on that one, depending on the title matches on that card. But yeah, I don't know. If it's in May, where would that be in the world? Not that it would be that significant to who wins, but if they're making that card, it seems like that would be a good card for a co-main or co-main. So
yeah, can you see it all where these fights are?
That one hasn't been officially announced. The latest UFC card that I see booked out right now is May 6th. And that one doesn't have a location at all, but there's only one fight booked on there, and that's Chaos Williams and Rolando Bedoya.
Huh. So, sounds like a fight night.
That's a fight night. But the weekend after that, I think it's going to be a pay-per-view because that's about a month after 287, so it'll be UFC 288.
I could see him. I mean, I'm trying to think of if they just left Brazil, they got this next card coming up in Australia. They might. I imagine they rattle off, the March, April. I don't know. They could be somewhere else, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one's just in Vegas. I feel like we would know if they're going to another country at least by now.
Yeah, that's true. 285 is in Vegas. 286 is in London. 287 is rumored to be in New York or Brooklyn. 288 would be in May, and nobody knows yet. But
yeah,
either way, looks like that'd be a good one to stack on a pay-per-view, in my opinion. One that just got announced for that March card, 285, Jalin Turner and Dan Hooker. That's an exciting one in the lightweight division. I'm really looking forward to that because I love watching Jalin Turner, and I'm interested to see what the line is, but I think Jalin Turner beats Dan Hooker. I don't want to say easily, but I think he beats him. What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because Dan Hooker, he's fought basically everybody there is to fight in the division. And at this point, when you get a guy like Jalin Turner after you're coming off of some losses, I know he just beat Claudio Puelles, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he lost to Islam, Poirier. I mean, the Poirier fight was a war. It took a lot of damage, and he kind of got himself out of title contention with these losses, in my opinion. I mean, I don't see a road for Dan Hooker necessarily to go make a run at the title again. So getting guys like Jalin Turner who are climbing the ranks, who are really good prospects and guys that are rattling off some win streaks in the UFC kind of makes you feel like maybe Dan Hooker is that stepping stone at 155 now for some of these guys because, I mean, Dan Hooker does have some name recognition, and that's definitely a feather in your cap if you beat him, especially if you're a younger up-and-coming fighter. So I just get the vibe that that's what the UFC's starting to do with Dan Hooker, and you don't want to be in that position because when you're fighting Jalin Turner, and it's those two in the octagon, and you ask yourself, which fighter does the UFC want to win, or which fighter is the matchmakers making this matchup for? I mean, it's going to be on the side of Jalin Turner.
Yeah, I have no idea how Jalin Turner makes 155. It's just unbelievable that you could be 6'3", weigh in at 155 for, what is it, 20 minutes or so?
Yeah,
and not even look like that bad on the scale. Like, he's still somewhat of a filled out 155er for 6'3". You look at the guy, and he's not like just some skin and bone. Like, his legs aren't just skin and bone. You look at like Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson's skin and bone, like from the waist down at least. Even the arms are not very big. Jalin Turner's got some real arms, some real fucking like legs. Like, the dude is built for 155, 6'3". I don't know how he makes it but he's got that tarantula power.
Yeah, and if you look at his record, though, he's got 5 losses total since starting mixed martial arts, and he's been knocked out 3 times. Which, I mean, Dan Hooker is a guy he's longer too. I mean, he's got long arms and stuff, so I think he'll be able to reach him. It's not going to be like a 6'3" lightweight going up against a 5'7" or 5'8" lightweight, but
Mm-hmm.
Jalin Turner does have to kind of be careful in this fight, in my opinion. If he goes for the finish, can't get it, or Dan Hooker gets in a flow, I mean, Dan Hooker can land some shots. And if Jalin Turner's been knocked out 3 times, it's just one that you just kind of got to be careful. Because I could see Dan Hooker finding an upset, but I really, my heart's telling me Jalin Turner is good enough to where he's going to go out and get this win for sure. But, man, it's so hard to count out Dan Hooker, even with the losses he's taken.
Yeah, I mean, obviously picks are different than bets. So if the price on Jalin Turner is just too much and there's value on Dan Hooker, it's got to be the play. But yeah, I mean the hearts tell me Jalin Turner. His only UFC losses are Matt Frivola and Vicente Luque, which was in his debut at welterweight. So I mean, he's down at 155 now. At lightweight in the UFC, he's only has 1 loss, and that's to Matt Frivola. Which he was the favorite in that one and lost. But since then, he's won 5 straight. Last win was to Brad Riddell and got that guillotine in 45 seconds. So quick work there. Looking forward to that one because I love seeing a good scrap in the lightweight division. A couple of really good strikers and the Tarantula showing his submission skills as of late. Another one for 285, Shevchenko and Grasso. It's only a matter of time, in my opinion. It's only a matter of time before Valentina falls. And as much as I want to be a part of that time when she falls and be on the dog side, because she'll be a favorite in every fight, unless it's to probably Amanda Nunes. I want to be on that dog side. I don't know if it's Alexa Grasso. I don't know if it is, but I haven't seen a line for that one. If it's juicy enough to where it's like Valentina's not even playable and Grasso's the only way you can go about it, then I might sprinkle on that. But I don't. Grasso was a strawweight, moves up to 125, hasn't lost at 125. But who is she beating at 125? I mean, she's beaten Ji Young Kim, not great.
No.
See, Barber is a good win, but that was in 2021. Joanne Wood last year, and she was a pretty big favorite, and then beat Viviana Araujo in the main event in October, and then gets a title shot. So I don't know that she's like necessarily earned it. Like it's kind of just like they need someone new in there right now, and maybe that fight they have with Blanchfield and Tyler Santos coming up, they're just kind of waiting, and they're getting Valentina a fight or something. I don't think Grasso's the girl to take her out. Maybe, but it's just a matter of time before Valentina falls. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it with the level of competition that Alex Grasso is fighting, I guess. I don't know. I mean, she looks like a skilled fighter, but you're comparing her to Valentina Shevchenko, who's been the best in that division for a while, and who, so far outside of Talia Santos, nobody's really been able to compete with her at all. And I mean, Grasso's wins, like you said, Macy Barber's a good win, but Macy was young,
Right.
just coming into the UFC, and Ji Young Kim, Joanne Wood, who's like 15-8 on a 3-fight losing streak, and she lost to Lauren Murphy a couple of fights ago, and we just saw what happened to Lauren Murphy. She subbed her, and then Viviana Araujo got the decision win. But I mean, those are decent wins, but they're not wins that are just going to blow you away and think she's ready for Valentina. I mean, she took Viviana Araujo to decision. I mean, she didn't go out there and knock her out or sub her, finish her or anything. So, yeah, man, I just don't see this one being the underdog that upsets Valentina Shevchenko. But like you said, you get the Aaron Blanchfield and Talia Santos fight. Those are two that either one of them, I mean, we saw with Talia, she had a chance to beat Valentina. A lot of people thought she did. I didn't necessarily think that, but I mean, it was close. And then, Aaron Blanchfield, what she did to Meatball Molly was ridiculous, and she just showed that that's an up and coming fighter to keep your eye on, and could possibly contend and give Valentina all she wants. So I think the number one contenders fight definitely comes out of that one, but
Yeah.
I don't think Alex Grasso is the one to dethrone Valentina.
Yeah, I will say this though. Tyler Santos, her path to the title was Molly McCann, Jillian Robertson, Roxanne Modafferi, and then Joanne Wood. And then she fought Valentina. So the path to the title in 125 for women is not too hard. But yeah, I just think if you're going to beat Valentina, you have to be able to take her down and you have to be able to control her. Santos did that in the rounds that she won. Grasso, that's not really her first thing to do. So are you going to outstrike Valentina? Probably not. Probably not going to beat her on the feet. So yeah, I'm still interested to watch and see how it goes. Valentina is one of I don't want to say the few women that like I enjoy watching, but she's just like so fun to watch as just a pure striker. She's very good. Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili. This one is going to be March 11th at the Virgin Motels in Las Vegas. Main event. I gotta lean Merab, but does Petr Yan go 1-3 in his last 4? That's a tough thing to think about. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too when they announced this fight. Like they're
Or one?
literally giving Jan the hardest competition right now. I mean, O'Malley, people didn't think really had a chance. I mean, those people out there thought that Petr Yan was just levels above O'Malley. Then he took the split decision loss after taking the decision loss to Aljo and then getting disqualified. So really he loses to Merab, and that's just, I mean, you can't really say that Petr Yan's only a fight away from the title anymore if you're 1-4. So he's kind of in a bad spot, in my opinion, because Merab, it doesn't matter who you are in the bantamweight division. Merab's a tough fight because of his style. I mean, he's tough to deal with. He's going to get you up against the cage and just shoot takedown after takedown. And I know Petr Yan's like super strong. He's compact. He's got a good base, and he can grapple a little bit. He gets trips and takedowns. But I mean, a guy like Merab, it's just not a favorable matchup for him, in my opinion. I mean, he'll be able to strike with Merab, obviously, and he'll be the better striker, but Merab doesn't really give guys chances to get their striking off. And he's not going to just switch up the game plan here. It's going to look exactly like what he did with Jose Aldo. That's going to be his game plan. It always is. And yeah, man, Jan just can't afford another loss right now, in my opinion. And he's kind of getting set up for one.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jan for taking these fights because he's really not doing himself any favors. I'm interested to see what this line's going to be because Petr Yan has been a big favorite in every fight that he's taken other than the first Aljo fight. First Aljo fight, he was damn near a pick'em. But every other fight in the UFC, so he has 11 fights. 10 of his 11 fights in the UFC, he's been like minus 250 or higher. So, I mean, he's 1-3 in his last 4 right now. What do they make the line at? Because Merab's been a favorite in most of his fights too. So, I don't know.
I'm going to guess it's, let's just put minus 130 Merab, plus 105 Petr Yan.
Really?
That's what I'm going to go with right now.
That's tough. I don't know, man. But I look at Merab's wins. They're not that impressive, really. Like his last 3 fights, Cody Stamann, decision win. I watched that fight because Cody Stamann just fought, so I watched that fight pretty recently. Cody Stamann didn't look that bad in that fight. Beat Marlon Moraes, who's not with the UFC anymore, said he retired and then came back in the PFL. And then beat Jose Aldo, which is impressive, but Aldo retired after that. So was he maybe planning on retiring, before that fight and didn't really care if he won or lost? I don't know, man. Like there's going to be value on Petr Yan. There's going to have to be. But But yeah, I don't know how you make that line. I'm really interested to see where it comes out. Most people will probably hop on the Merab train, and there's that narrative that Aljo's beat Petr Yan twice, and Merab obviously trains with Aljo, so they have the sauce to beat him. But Merab's never been in a 5-rounder, I don't believe. So that is also something to take into account. Petr Yan's usually good in the last couple rounds. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one.
I think you bet on that one to go to decision. I really do.
Yeah.
I think, you see probably Merab come out hot out of the gate with the takedowns and grappling. And then, like you said, never been in a 5-rounder in the UFC. And Petr Yan shines late in the fight. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, man. I could see a split decision in that one.
Yeah. Merab's got a gas tank, but it hasn't been a 5-round proven gas tank. So don't know where that one's going to go. But a couple more here. We got the rumored to be in April, Aljo and Cejudo. And this one's tough, man. Fucking Aljo. I would pick Aljo, but he's dealing with that injury, and I don't know how he's going to be able to perform with that. How is he going to be able to prepare to, like cutting all that weight and everything with an injury is never easy. So I was Aljo, but with the injury, and he's made it public. So it's like, if you're gonna have an injury, I wouldn't make it public. So it kind of helps us to know that, but it doesn't really help against your opponent to know that your opponent is injured. So are you taking Aljo or Cejudo?
Yeah, like you said, the injury makes it tough and really interesting because Cejudo, obviously the wrestling pedigree is of the highest level. Olympian, but you also got to remember he's coming up from 125, so he's not going to be a real big guy. I know he's short and stout, but he is pretty short, and Aljo's pretty tall for the division and long. So on the feet, I think Aljo, you got to give the striking advantage to Aljo, and if it goes to the ground, Cejudo is a savage with the submission game and the grappling as well. And even if Aljo does get taken down, he's just one of those super athletic guys who's slippery. It's like you can't hold him down because his jiu-jitsu is so good, and he's going to use it to get in better positions and get out of bad positions. So
Yeah.
it's tough. When I look at it, a fully healthy Aljo, I would pick all day, in my opinion.
Right.
Just because of look what he did to Corey Sandhagen, who's a savage. Just a minute, got his back, choked him out. He took Petr Yan's back and held that position for rounds. And then Cejudo, hasn't fought in a while either. So it's interesting. Cejudo's getting older every day too.
Yeah.
But if there's anybody who works, harder than anybody else, it is a guy like Henry Cejudo. He knows what it takes to go to the Olympics in wrestling and how much hard work that takes. And he doesn't take anything lightly. Like if he's training for a UFC fight in a title shot, you're going to get everything you possibly can out of Henry Cejudo. So it makes it super interesting.
Yeah. Cejudo it's been off for what? Is it 3 years now? A little over 3 years.
At least, yeah.
Let's see, what is his last fight was 2020, May of 2020. So it'll be 3 years about. Yeah, but he's always around the sport. He has to kind of let himself go physically, but he's always around the sport and he's covers it like really in depth. He's always talking like strategies of certain fighters, helping certain fighters. So that mind of Cejudo is really good, but I also think Aljo's mind is good as well. He talks a lot about game strategy or fight strategy, I should say, and critiques, fighter strategy, what they should have done, what they did do that helped them to win and everything. So, yeah, fully healthy Aljo, I'd be all over it. But with the injury, it kind of hurts his value there. Last one here, Alex Pereira went out and tweeted at Jamahal Hill saying that if Jiri's hurt, that he should take the fight at 205. I don't think Pereira wants to make that weight cut anymore, and he wants to just sit at 205. But, buddy, You're at 185. You're probably going to have to defend that title a couple more times before you move up to 205. But for the sake of the show, Jamahal Hill versus Alex Pereira, who would you take at 205?
I mean, because if you look at Alex Pereira, he is a natural 205er. I mean, there's no way around it. He was weighing what, 230 before his like 4 months before his last fight. I mean, that is insane for a 185-pound fighter. So, and he's not a young guy by any means. So, I mean, like you said, how much longer does he want to make that weight cut? I saw people telling me online that there's no way the UFC ever makes that fight. But if you look at the 205-pound division, everybody's either hurt or, guys like Anthony Smith, who have been crushed lately, are the 7th-ranked guy in the world. Like, there's not a bunch of guys who just stand out from the pack outside of, Jiri kind of did, but he's hurt for another year or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what you get in that fight is two of the most elite strikers in that 185-pound division and the 205-pound division. I don't know who in the hell would not want to watch that fight. I mean, that's a dream matchup. I mean, Jamahal Hill's kind of just bursting onto the scene in the rankings in the last couple of years. But what he showed against Glover was that he's elite on the feet. I mean, 236 significant strikes as a 205-pound fighter is really impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he obviously hits hard too. I know he didn't knock out Glover, but there's a lot of guys who haven't knocked out Glover. John Jones. I mean, there's a list of them who couldn't get the job done against Glover. So, but to be able to 50-45 him, yeah, man, I don't know. I'd love to see that fight. I think it's interesting. I think it's fireworks, and you're going to get the highest level of striking in that matchup.
Yeah, obviously you have the storyline of Pereira avenging Glover's loss and getting the belt back for the pit there, but I don't think Hill had much of a threat on the feet in that fight with Glover. I just don't think he really was able to get any respect from Glover on the feet. So he was just kind of like pick at him, seize the takedown, can stuff it, pick at him. And it was just kind of easy for him. And he made it look easy. I don't think it was easy, but he made it look easy. And Pereira's been fighting at light heavyweight before. I mean, in Glory, he's the two-time or the double champion Glory. So he's fought kickboxers at light heavyweight. And I don't think Jamahal Hill's going to be shooting takedowns on him and trying to get him to the ground to hold him there. So it's probably going to be, stand up, light heavyweight striking battle. And damn, that would be fun. That would be really fun because does Pereira's left hook have that kind of power at 205 or that kind of effect on guys at 205? Bigger guys should have, better chins against that kind of power. I think it would do some damage.
I do too. Yeah.
We haven't seen Hill really. I don't want to say he's taken some shots. I mean, he's been hit before, but has he been hit by Poatan power? I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean,
that'd be nuts.
Yeah,
nuts.
Because those shots, even against Izzy, knocked Izzy out, and that's at 185. So you're going to give Pereira some more muscle, some more strength at 205. I mean, I think the power translates fine because he is one of the most powerful strikers at 185. And even though it is, 20 pounds up to 205, like I said, man, he was walking around at 230, and he's been in kickboxing. I mean, he's been a legend in kickboxing, so the power will translate. He's so technical, and I mean, Jamahal Hill isn't going to be as fast as guys like Izzy either, so maybe he finds the chin easier against Jamahal Hill. But, I mean, Jamal's power, too, is pretty good, and we saw Izzy be able to tag Alex Pereira, and even though Izzy's, one of the most accurate and, impressive strikers in the UFC, I mean, the question is going to be, can Jamahal Hill find the chin of Alex Pereira? And I guess we'll have to see what kind of chin Alex Pereira has at 205. But that's a fight I just feel like it has to happen now. Whether it's 2 years from now, 6 months from now, I mean, that fight's a fight to make if you're the UFC.
Yeah, and Pereira would fill out 205 very good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think he would look even more scary at 205. even compared up to like Jamahal Hill. When he was staring down Jamahal Hill in the octagon after that fight, like they looked about the same size.
Well,
And
look at the picture of him standing next to Dominic Reyes. He's like 3
yeah,
inches taller and,
oh
and
yeah,
thicker. It's like,
it's insane. And
yeah.
thing with Izzy when he went up to 205, Izzy's a big dude, but he makes 185 relatively easily. I mean, he's weighed in at 184, 183 before, so that jump up to 205, he didn't even put on weight. I think he weighed in at what 199 or like 200 on the dot in that fight with Jan. Pereira is going to be cut into 205. He'd probably jump up back to like 230 after that, 240 even. So Pereira said it takes him what 2 or 3 months to like cut down to 185. So I mean, he's just going to be so big, and I think he matches up well with Jamahal Hill. What the hell is that line going to be? Because how do you even? I don't know. I mean, I would think Jamahal Hill would be the favorite, but not that big of a favorite. Maybe 160, 170, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, and I think it would just be because of the weight discrepancy.
Yeah.
But maybe it's closer to even because they know how big Alex Pereira is in the offseason. So
Yeah.
it's so interesting. It's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and Izzy was a pretty sizable favorite against Jan
Mm-hmm.
when he went up. So
Yeah.
maybe they just are like, I don't even care about the weight. We're just going to assume they're the same size. What was that line? He was a minus 260 favorite against Jan. So yeah, he was undefeated at that point too.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about it is you compare experience too. I mean, yeah, Alex Pereira in MMA doesn't have a ton of experience, but you look at the kickboxing and years he's actually been fighting. And Jamahal Hill, I mean, doesn't have the most experience in the world. What is he, 12-1 now professionally in mixed martial arts? And it's not like Alex Pereira is going to have to worry about Jamahal Hill shooting all these takedowns or watch the submissions. I mean, Jamahal Hill is going to fight the fight that Alex Pereira wants. So yeah, and then if you look at Jamahal Hill after going back and watching the Contender Series interview when he's emotional because his brother was killed in a car accident and what he's fighting for and coming from nothing and trying to make something out of him, it's like, how do you bet against a guy like that who's just doesn't take losing for an answer? It's like, I mean, his arm was broken and he's still fighting Paul Krieg. So yeah, man, I just think the UFC's got to make the fight at some point.
Last question. Would you rather see Jamahal Hill versus Jiri Prochazka or Jamahal Hill versus Alex Pereira?
I think Alex Pereira. I mean, Yuri's obviously a great striker and was the best in the world up until he got hurt. But he's obviously got the knockout power and spinning elbows and stuff. But I just don't see that fight being as much fireworks as I do Alex Pereira and him. I think with Jiri, it's more going to be like a chess match. Yuri's that kind of like samurai warrior where he's not gonna risk a lot. Especially against a pure striker like Pereira. I think Jiri would kind of take his time, land some of those weird shots. With Alex Pereira and Jamahal, I think they go in there and it's just a kickboxing war. Kick each other's legs off, see who can knock each other out, and you're going to get the highest level of kickboxing in the MMA octagon. So I don't know which one I've got to see. I'd love to see them both, but I'm going to lean Alex Pereira and Jamahal over Jiri.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think adding the aspect of going up in weight for Pereira after beating Izzy, and then he has Glover who just lost in his corner too. I think that I like that better. That's my fight to make for 205. Will it happen? Probably not. I'd also like to say, I don't know about you, but I don't really care to see Izzy versus Alex Pereira again. I don't even know why. Like that was one of the like sickest moments of the year to see Alex Pereira actually beat Izzy at 185 after he's beaten him twice already. I just don't really care to see it again. I don't know why, but it's just not really getting to me like that. What about you?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. And honestly, for Izzy to come back into that rematch, if you lose to him twice in MMA, that's 4 times overall. I mean, now you got to do a little bit of work to get back to a title shot. So, I mean, I think Izzy just needs to take his time. I wouldn't even mind Alex Pereira fighting again before he fights Izzy for the second time in the octagon. But Yeah, that 185 division has some killers too. So it's kind of a round robin. Like, and if they don't rematch, maybe Alex gets beat for the title, and then Izzy's right back in there against somebody else, or they do the rematch not for a title. I don't know. There's so many scenarios in that division, but
Yeah,
man, it just you kind of know what you're already going to get with those two fighting. We've seen it once in the octagon, and people have watched the highlights and seen it in kickboxing, and that's basically what you're going to get in the octagon with those
yeah.
two. So.
Yeah, it's like getting Figueiredo versus Moreno, number 5. It's just like, all right, bro, this is enough. This is enough. But all right, at the double leg on all the social medias. If you're watching here on YouTube, please leave a like, subscription, and a comment down below. Get in the Facebook group. We got the weekend off here, no UFC, and then we're right back at it next weekend, and we do the weekly giveaways in there. All you got to do is submit your plus 500 play, and if you hit it, or if you're the only one that hits it, you win the jackpot. The pot will be up to $40. $20 gets added every week, and if nobody wins, just stays in the pot, and whoever wins eventually gets the whole pot. So get in that Facebook group. We giving out all that juice in there, and then if you want to get on the premium plays, join the premium, $19.99 a month. That is about $5 per card and less than 50 cents per fight. So you're getting a ton of value in there. We got a full spreadsheet with all of the UFC stats, all the betting stats will be given out in the premium, as well as everything I listed at the beginning of the show. At Hedgeye Picks on the media for me, where can they find you?
TikTok, The Parlay, Instagram and Twitter, The Parlay, _media, and on YouTube, The Parlay MMA.
All righty, we'll be back with the UFC Vegas 68, I believe it is. Lewis versus Spivak full card prediction in the next video. Till then, the double leg signing out.